Good afternoon to everybody. We would like to thank David Fried and his mishpacha for sponsoring this Dvar Torah, Parshat Yitro, Parshat Matan Torah. And the reason for his sponsoring this Dvar Torah is it's in gratitude to HaKadosh Baruch Hu for all the loving kindness, all the goodness that David feels that Hashem has showered on him. So, David, thank you very much. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu should continue to shower his chesed, his hatzlacha, priyut, osher with the ayin, osher with an aleph, everything that you want, HaKadosh Baruch Hu should give you and your family l'tova. We all know that a very well-known midrash that Rashi brings, not in Parshat Yitro, but he brings it in Parshat Zot HaBracha. Because in Zot HaBracha, the last parasha of the Torah, it says in the second pasuk, Vayomar Hashem Sinai ba, Hashem came from Sinai, V'zarach miSeir lamo, it says that HaKadosh Baruch Hu shone from Seir, Ofiya mehar Paran, that Hashem then appeared from the mountain of Paran, he came with angels, Mimino Esh Dat Lamo, and when he appeared from these places, and together with the angel, so he was holding on his right hand, figuratively of God, he was holding Esh Dat. Esh Dat means a fiery law, and that he gave over to the Jewish people. So everyone knows, and Rashi brings this midrash. It says, what does the pasuk mean that Hashem appeared from Har Sinai, and then he appeared from the mountain of Paran before he came to Har Sinai? So it's referring to that Hashem offering the Torah to all the nations of the world before he offered it to the Jewish people. So when it says Har Seir, Har Seir is, we all know, the dwelling place of Esav. So Hashem appeared at Har Seir. He offered, so to speak, the Torah to the children of Esav. And we know also that Mount Paran is the place where Ishmael and his descendants live. So he offered it to them. And then afterwards, when they refused to take it, so then he came with that law to Am Yisrael, and he gave us the Torah. Now, the Midrash elaborates that when Hashem offered these people, in fact, all the nations of the world, the opportunity to have the Torah, they asked him, what is written in the Torah? So what Hashem did was he chose something that to tell them about something that sort of runs against their nature. For example, he told the people of Esav, who were, so to speak, who were blessed in inverted commas by Yitzchak, that he'd live by the sword, so there's like a streak of violence. So Hashem said, what's written in it? So Hashem said, there is the Isur of not to murder. So they said, you know what, we had a blessing that we're going to live by the sword, so we can't really sort of abide by that. In previous years, what I spoke about is that it's an absurdity, because even the nations of the world, everyone, they've got the basic mitzvah of living by the 7 Noach laws. The 7 mitzvah of Noach includes not to murder. So we'll explain basically, I'm not going to go into it again, that there's many levels of Torah. For example, not shaming someone publicly comes under the law of not to murder. So they said, listen, because we've got the streak in us to observe the Torah to such an extent that it demands that we go against our nature, and we don't even shame people, etc. That's very hard, so we don't want to keep it. And the same thing with Ishmael. So each one of the nations, Hashem sort of offered them and showed them in the Torah that there's something which sort of goes against the grain. So will they, b'chol open, will they b'chol open accept the Torah? Now, in a way, it's like unfair. Did Hashem do the same thing to the Jewish people? Did Hashem tell us at Har Sinai to do something that sort of is like a test for us, just like in the case of Esav? Hashem said, you know what, in the Torah it's written that one mustn't be violent, one mustn't, let's say, even shame people and then cause them to basically feel that they are murdered. So did he do the equivalent or the parallel when it came to Am Yisrael? So when I was in Kerem B'Yavne, Rabbi Rivlin, Shlita Shizkele Yamim Tovim Arukim, he's sort of retired now from Kerem B'Yavne, and he lives in Yerushalayim, and he said yes. And I mean, I think he's quoting others. He added on a little bit, but he says yes. The Jewish people were also tested at Har Sinai. And what was the test? The test was that if you notice the psukim in the build-up to Moshe going up to Har Sinai and giving the Torah to the Jewish people, Hashem repeats over and over again to Moshe Rabbeinu, what I want you to do is to tell the people that besides purifying themselves in anticipation of Matan Torah, preparing themselves in order to get the Torah, I want you to put boundaries on the mountain. And everyone must know that beyond that point, one's not allowed to go on Har Sinai. And any person who crosses that boundary, which is going to surround Har Sinai, that person will die. And only at the end of Matan Torah, when you hear the shofar, then you know that the Shekhinah, so to speak, Hashem's presence has left the mountain of Sinai. And then when you hear that shofar, you know that the occasion of Matan Torah is finished, and then you're able to go onto Har Sinai proper. But until that point, there's all sorts of boundaries. Boundaries where only the Kohanim can be, boundaries where only the Levim are, boundaries, Vadai, the animals, boundary of Yisrael. And all these boundaries were surrounding Am Yisrael, and it's repeated over and over again in the Psukim. So Rabbi Rivlin, what he does is he actually explains like this. He says that was the test. The Jewish people, their natural affinity, their natural disposition and nature is to come close to Hashem. That's when we say what we mean, that we am skula. It means that we've got this innate passion to come to have emunah. We call a nation that has like instinctively emunah. That is the basis of our DNA. So can you imagine if we lived in a time and I said to you, or was it the prophets or someone said to us, you know what, just over there, like 10 meters ahead of us, do you realize that over there's the Shekhinah? Well, can you imagine? It's something that you'll see once only in history. You won't see it now for another 600,000 years until the time of Mashiach. So can you imagine? The instinct of a person is, well, but I'm prepared to just die and just go there and unite with the Shekhinah. There it is. Everything that we were looking for, that to see the Hashem revealed, revelation. Hashem's never been here. We had a Yam Suf, a little bit of revelation, but this is more than that. I'm prepared to go cross the border a little bit, take a chance and be there. That was the test. Could the Jewish people go against their nature? What is their nature? Their nature is to expand and to be what? To be close to Hashem. Could they now put brakes on that and sort of like recoil, to have a discipline that this is what Hashem wants? Hashem wants a certain distancing, and we now, because we want to fulfill what Hashem tells us we're going to do. Many times in these these recordings, I've always referred to the amazing relationship that the Jewish people have, that we're the only, let's call it the only religion that when Hashem wants us to be distant from Him, we don't press the matter. We've got the humility to say Hashem doesn't want us to come any closer. Now's the time that what we have to do is we have to withdraw. And this withdrawal we do with humility. And the classic case of that is like in a sukkah. A sukkah is, we want to, after Yom Kippur, we built a sukkah. Hashem wants us to be in the sukkah, but then for whatever reason, on a particular year, Hashem doesn't want our service in the sukkah. And what he does is he brings rain. So how do the Jewish people react? They don't sit in the sukkah and, we're going to put on our, I'm giving you everything. Here's a revelation. That revelation will not happen till the times of Mashiach. That's what we say in the Shema every single day of Shabbat. In the Kedusha, we say, V'hu yashme'enu baracham avsheni, that he, Hashem, will reveal to us in his mercy, shenit, a second time, right? His revelation. But that will only be, that's twice in history. And Hashem says, so what we do is we accept that with this closeness, there has to be a certain withdrawal. Can we now stand up to that withdrawal? Can we, so to speak, it goes against what we want to do, and that is to be so close, and the Jewish people pass with flying colors, and that is indeed what is so great of Am Yisrael. Shabbat Shalom Lekulam.